Let's talk about Chaz Lanier and his NBA draft profile here. Chaz Lanier is a very intriguing guy because he followed the same path as Dalton Connect, going from a guy who's unheralded to going to transfer to Tennessee for their last season of eligibility and really excelling in a very difficult conference in the SEC as a shooter. Chaz Lanier averaged 18 points a game, about 4 rebounds, an assist, and a steal. Shot 43% from the field, 39% from 3 on over 8 attempts, and 76% from the free throw line on about 2.5 attempts per game. The thing with Lanier is he's a tremendous shooter. I think he's better as a pure shooter than Dalton Connect. He's really good running off of screens. His release is really quick. He's 6'5" with a 6'9" wingspan, so he's got decent size. He's around 210 pounds. His three-point shooting is legit, and he can do it in a variety of ways, and he can get the shot off quickly, which is very important because the next level, they're going to be keyed on his three-point shot. He's a solid team defender. He knows where he should be. He's got decent strength. I think he's better guarding bigger players than smaller, quicker players for sure. And he's a guy who he knows who he is, and he doesn't really venture much outside of it. Some of the negatives for Lanier, I would say, would be offensively, especially with the jump from North Florida to Tennessee. You could see he especially statistically, it was a lot more difficult for him to score from 2-point range. Yes, he can knock down the mid-range shot, and occasionally he got to the rim, but it was far less often than it was at North Florida, and I suspect that trend could continue at the NBA level, although it is very important to point out the lack of spacing with the Tennessee offense, which might actually mean that his 2-point shooting could improve at the NBA level if he's on a team, which most teams will be, with better spacing on the court, because at Tennessee, he was certainly on the court with really 2 non-shooters and a third guy who was inconsistent. And so the spacing for the opposing defense was really cramped, and it really was keyed on him. So he actually might fare better as a role player with the ability to get to the bucket. He's not a playmaker. He's not a guy who generates, potential assists or gets assists, quite frankly. And that could be a little bit of an issue just because I think it limits him in terms of his role. And as a defender, well, I do think he's solid positionally. He's not a playmaker. He's not a guy who's going to really make things difficult. He's more of a solid team defender than he's probably an average one-on-one defender at best. But with his three-point shooting, he has a clear role at the next level. I think there are a few guys in this year's draft class who project out as really good shooters, and just the question is, can they do enough with other parts of their game, defensively, getting to the bucket, just being good floor spacers to provide value outside of their three-point shooting. I think Lanier he's got a good chance to have an 8-year NBA career as a guy who comes off the bench, provides three-point shooting for your team. I think he goes somewhere in the second round of this year's draft. Probably not. I would say the range would be between 36, 37, and about 50. I think he goes in that middle of the second round. And I think if you're, honestly, a lot of teams would make sense for Lanier. I don't think it makes sense for teams in the lottery who are going to have a number of years ahead of them to continue to rebuild. Specifically, I'm thinking of teams like, I guess it could change quickly. We've seen that with the Pistons this year, but it was a long haul for them. So I think he'd be better off with teams that are looking to compete, who need somebody who can really stretch the floor, space it for their star players. So I'm curious, how do you guys see Lanier faring at the NBA level? Who else do you want to see? Please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time.